Sometimes the biggest battles start with the smallest spark, a single piece of tech, a little disagreement over a few words, and a deep loss of trust. Well, that's exactly what it took to set off a rebellion inside one of America's most powerful unions. Today, we're going to break down how a fight within the Teamsters is blowing up into a battle for its very future. And really, it all comes down to this one question, right? How on earth can one little camera, installed in the cab of a truck, ignite a grassroots movement that's strong enough to challenge the entire leadership of a massive nationwide union? To get it, we've got to go back to the very beginning. So it all kicked off with a classic case of corporate doublespeak. On one side, you have UPS calling this new gadget a pretty harmless-sounding inward driver-facing sensor. Okay? But on the other side, the drivers did some digging and found the tech company's own patent called it what it really was, an interior video camera. Now for them, that wasn't just a simple mix-up in wording. It was the first big red flag, a sign of deception. To really get why this was such a big deal, you have to put yourself in the driver's seat. I mean, literally. That's what happened to Eric Johnson, a veteran UPS driver. Imagine this. You get back from vacation, you climb into your truck like any other day, and you find this thing. Just there, staring at you. No heads up, no training, just a brand new set of eyes watching your every move. So, what exactly is this thing? Well, it's not your average dash cam. This is an AI-powered system. It uses invisible infrared light to track a driver's face, their expressions, their eye movements. It's looking for any sign of distraction or drowsiness. But here's the part that really got to the drivers. Because the light is invisible, your natural defenses, like blinking or looking away from a bright light, they're never triggered. Your eyes are just completely exposed to it. The drivers, understandably, had a lot of questions. Serious ones about their safety and their privacy. But when they went looking for answers from both the company and their own union leadership, they just hit a wall of silence. So they made a decision that would change everything. If no one was going to give them the facts, they were going to go out and get them themselves. And this, right here, shows you how serious they were. I mean, these are just regular rank-and-file union members. They literally passed a hat around, pooling their own money, $8,000 in total, just to buy one of these cameras and send it off to a professional lab for some real independent testing. And the results that came back? A total bombshell. The lab confirmed, yep, the camera shoots out infrared light. That led them down a rabbit hole, and they uncovered an international safety code, IEC 62471, which warns that there are no established safe exposure limits for people with photosensitivity. And here's the real kicker. They found out this condition could be triggered by over 130 common medications. We're talking about things like aspirin or basic heart medicine. So, armed with all this pretty alarming data, they went back to their union leaders. They were expecting them to jump into action, right? Well, instead, they felt totally dismissed. That feeling was summed up perfectly by Mike Moxley, a local union president. After a call with the Teamsters' own head of health and safety, he said, and I quote, "I was treated with hostility by the exact person whose job it is to protect me." And that was the turning point. This fight was no longer just about a camera. That camera had become a symbol for a much, much bigger problem. A leadership that, in their view, wasn't listening, wasn't protecting them, and wasn't fighting for them. What started as a safety complaint had just lit the fuse on a political firestorm aimed at changing the entire direction of the union. Now, all of this frustration and energy, it didn't just fizzle out on the shop floor. Oh no. It's now building into a formal challenge for leadership, and it's all aimed at the union's 2026 international election. Leading the charge is this man, Richard Hooker Jr. He's the secretary-treasurer of a Philadelphia local. He's now heading up a rival slate that's basically a unified team of candidates to run against the current leadership, and they're campaigning on a promise to bring a new standard to the union. This whole conflict also shines a light on a really deep political divide inside the union. The current president, Sean O'Brien, has taken a more bipartisan approach, even meeting with Donald Trump and becoming the first Teamsters president ever to speak at the Republican National Convention. On the other side, you've got the challenger, Richard Hooker Jr., who argues that getting cozy with figures he sees as anti-labor puts the entire working class at risk. So this isn't just another campaign. It has truly become a full-on movement with its very own identity. They call themselves the Fearless Movement, and that one word, fearless, really defines everything they're about. They've branded their entire team the Fearless Slate, and for them,
Being fearless means standing up and directly confronting what they call a culture of intimidation and secrecy inside the union. They're promising a whole new style of leadership that isn't afraid to be open and honest with its own members. And get this, to really rally support and build that sense of community, they've even created a fearless anthem. The lyrics, things like stepping out of shadow, battle into the light, every single challenge, we ready to fight, are all meant to capture that defiant, grassroots energy of their whole campaign. And their platform, it goes way beyond just that camera issue. On the inside, they're promising to end all retaliation and bring total transparency to contract negotiations, really shifting the power back to the rank and file. On the outside, they want to tackle the threats of AI and automation head-on. And strategically, they plan to rejoin the AFL-CIO, which is the country's biggest federation of unions, to build more collective power. At its heart, their whole message is about returning to a member-driven union. You can see it in their campaign stuff. It's all about that grassroots connection, showing Richard Hooker Jr. and his team talking directly with members on the shop floor. They're arguing that the real power of the union comes from its members, not just the people at the top. Okay, so why does this internal union election matter to anyone outside of a union hall? What is really, truly at stake here? Well, the scale is just staggering. The Teamsters Union represents 1.3 million workers all across North America. We're talking UPS drivers, warehouse workers, airline pilots, public employees, you name it. The outcome of this leadership fight is going to send massive ripples across the entire labor movement and really the whole economy. So ultimately, this isn't just a race between two guys. It's a debate over the very soul and the future strategy of the Teamsters. It's about how this powerful, historic union is going to deal with the modern challenges of automation, AI, and a super polarized political world. And in the end, it all comes back to that one fundamental question that kicked this whole movement off in the first place. In an age of disruptive technology and constantly shifting political winds, when the very organizations designed to protect workers are facing these kinds of challenges from within, who exactly is supposed to be guarding the guardians?